Hey there, friends. How's it going tonight? I was just going through some memories. I had no intention of really doing a live video tonight. Um, I probably shouldn't. I should probably be inside doing something else in the house, getting something accomplished or relaxing in the evening. But I can't help but sit and think one more Saturday night passes us by. And that's my own fault, of course. But my purpose for making this video, I didn't expect many people to stop by or anything. It's just since I had the opportunity and I was feeling a little bit inspired, I thought I would step behind the camera and talk for a minute about, and hopefully talk with some of you about shit. Um, what I meant by the One More Saturday Night thing, it's a song by the Grateful Dead. One More Saturday Night is considered the one tune that you expect to hear at any Saturday Grateful Dead show. And even though you get tired of hearing it on bootlegs, you get tired of hearing it often, but when it does come on, you're like, all right, I can groove to this. And the same goes for anybody who's been to concerts, and had that full vibe of a group of people who were there celebrating the same event or a festival or anything like this. It is really important to my well-being and psyche to have a place that I can go let loose. To be brutally honest, take a bunch of psychedelics and run around and have fun with my friends and listen to great music. I love it. The safety of camping for like 3 days in one place and being able to go to a concert each night. And so when like Fish or the Dead played a 3 night show, yeah, of course I'll be there, especially if it's in the Gorge, because I live in Washington near the Gorge Amphitheater. Well, not near. It's 5.5 fucking hour drive, but it's worth it. And the shows I've been there too at that place, like the view behind the stage at the Gorge is just amazing. And I'm not here to talk about concerts. I'm rather here to talk about what we're all missing in 2020 by not being able to go out and interact with one another. The fear people have of traveling, the fear people have of, not even just the fears, but just the sad fact that I cannot go to a concert on a Saturday night. I mean, that's not something that in the history of my life has been a thing. And I'm only 45, I'm almost 45. But the idea that I cannot just say, damn, I want to go out and dance and go dance at some club that you'd have to go underground is like really absurd. And I wouldn't even want to, of course, because I don't want to risk my health or anyone else's. But at the same time, like, oh God, the restrictions they're putting on people are pretty absurd out there. I mean, in Oregon, yeah, I was kind of cringing when I heard the governor today, Kate Brown, and I know things are taken out of context often, but when people feel like they can't gather in groups, we're starting to learn that there's a lot more to it than just freedom or civil rights or, you know, uh, there's a huge part of it is the well-being of your own psyche. People go crazy when they can't get out, go hang out with their friends. Something at the beginning of this pandemic, I said, well, we can sacrifice for a month or two. Sure. It was hard, but I was like, well, if we're not going to get through this shit and do it right, we might as well just go back to business. I want to go to a damn concert. I'd be willing to go to a concert and wear a mask and social distance, no problem. But I know that's a difficult thing to navigate. And I know that that's very selfish because I know that next year or the year after, hopefully next year, I'll be able to go back and go to these events on a Saturday night again. Or a Monday if I choose, you know. Believe it or not, I like dancing. I mean, I've always danced at Grateful Dead shows, but I didn't start really dancing until I went to like see some dubstep and EDM, like at Soak, the regional Burning Man, and then I also went, to like see Excision by myself a couple of times, and that was more like slam dancing. It was like my way of bringing together my early metal days, because the first concert I ever went to was Iron Maiden and Anthrax, or wait, yeah, Iron Maiden with Anthrax opening, and Anthrax played a song called "Caught in the Mosh," and "Caught in the Mosh" was the song to mosh to, and we had a great time, but I got kind of beat up a couple times with these shows, but generally it was pretty friendly fun. Got punched a little bit, and we all did. It's something that young people do. And it's much more than just slam dancing or moshing it or crowd surfing. It's being with a big group of people who are all there for the same purpose and releasing those emotions, releasing the pent up bullshit that we have. And now that bullshit's building up heavy for most of society right now. Um, so I can't go to any concerts. It is what it is. Hi Rochelle and hello Robin. Hi DB. Hi Ryan. Hello Tobacco. Hello Frank. Yes, yes. Kevin Nelson, how you doing, my friend? He says Peter in Darrington, Washington. No, I haven't. I haven't been there yet. Frank says he wants to attend Soak for the first time. Well, I want to attend Soak again. Just being able to get tickets is hard. Last year I wasn't able to because I'll tell you a quick story about social media in the modern day. I've deleted my Facebook, several times over the years. I mean, I was old school, like the rest of you, many of you. I had MySpace account for our band back in the day. And then when MySpace fell out of favor, I moved to Facebook because I had to, pretty much. And I thought, well, I deleted my account two different times, like for a period of a year or more. And then I would have to open and reactivate my account in order to talk with somebody who only had Facebook, or find somebody, or somebody was trying to find me, or for my business needs. Finally, about a year and a half ago, I just said I'm done with Facebook. Then 6 months later, Soak tickets come around, and the only way to get them is to go on Facebook and to go to their ticket exchange. It was the only place you could get them because people don't resell them for anything over face value. It's like way against the policies. So people were trying to sell their tickets, but I refused to sign up for Facebook in order to go to the one event every year that I insist that I have to go to. And that was my own self-depreciation moment, my own reality check that I am forced to use social media. I had a Carpos Botanicals site page on my Facebook. Of course, I haven't been to that forever. I even had people email me say, "Why did you ditch me from your group or leave as a friend?" I'm like, dude, I don't even have an account anymore. Social media has made people way too sensitive about shit that people, it's way taken out of context, or if there's any context at all. Often it's just assumptions that people make. I miss the good old days. Like I was saying, having this thing here, this book that I was going through earlier, it's my life. It's like all the pages with, like, for example, these are all Soak bracelets and Soak tickets from the various years that I've been. And then there's a backstage pass for the Presidents of the United States of America, the band, that we got to see them. Orders for Weird Substances online, other concert tickets, things like that. Heavy metal tickets, Modest Mouse tickets, all the way to the back where it's like a page I wrote back in 1991, I think, when I was tripping on acid and I started writing pencil down on the paper, talking. There's a weird little thing that I wrote, but I've been through a lot of shit in my life. I've been through a lot of different mindsets, and I'm prepared to deal with this year's bullshit. I've always expected life to be changed. There's some people out there who just cannot seem to handle the fact that things are not the same as when we were kids. And I always ask, well, when have they ever been the same for anyone? Everything is in flux. It never stops for you. Every generation thinks they're the one where something's different, or either going to change for the better, or for the worse, or it's the end of time. Um, Nothing more frustrating than, I guess, the evangelicals that want to preach it's the end of times, but that's a different story altogether. But it's important that people think it's always the end of times. There's a lot of folks out there who are self-depreciating to the point where they won't even listen to music. That music is somehow a sin. Going out and having fun, partying and dancing. And as I'm saying this, I've got all this different music stuck in my head, like, oh God, I have Pookie Baby by Prof stuck in my head. You probably don't even know who that is. But like certain songs come and go, and I've noticed lately I've had a lot more songs stuck in my head. I was listening to Lucius earlier. I'd never heard them before. These two chicks just they're amazing. They sing great. I was jamming out to that, especially because they did a cover of Right Down the Line, which is a Jerry Rafferty song, which I love that song. It's an old 80s song, and I grew up with that nostalgia of the 80s. And so it's one of the beauties of growing up in any time that we don't know what our situation is going to be in the future. All we have to really keep us going is to look back on the past with a sense of reverence and awe and respect and humility to try to figure out where the hell we're coming from and going. But we have to appreciate those good old times. The older we get, the more stubborn we get, the more attached we get to those good old days. But when you really look at it, I want to be one of those guys who's always changing with the times. You know, I want to be able to be a DJ at 75 and say, I'm never too old, you know. I've got sucked in by society and convinced that, you know, of a variety of different things as well, just like the rest of you. We're all programmed, even from the 80s, buying high-tech gadgets like this Watchman. You ever seen these? This is one of the first TVs. It was the first, I should say, pocket TV. Somebody gave it to me the other day. It put the batteries in it. It will turn on, but you can't really use a pocket TV when there's no more analog signals being broadcast. But it's fascinating because before that, they had a cathode ray tube in most sets, which you had to have a large TV. But something this small could put the ray, it's like an angled screen, so it actually would project kind of onto the screen. Some fascinating technology for the time. And I read the story about a guy who said he'd saved up all his Christmas money to get one for like 80 bucks back in the 80s. Came out in like, I think, 1982. And the guy was talking about all his gadgets that he's collected over the years and how he has drawers full of different gadgets, cameras, things he just cannot get rid of. And I really resonated with this guy because I have boxes full of random things, from old digital cameras to old film cameras, but ones that may or may not even work. Certain devices that I've been curious about, or weird wiring harnesses or gadgets, but Walkmans, things like that, CD players, things that you probably won't use in today's world, but shit, it's hard to throw them away, especially when they're small. Anyway, I'm gonna go down the comments here. Hey Robin, caught the mosh, so fun in the 80s. Fuck yeah, it was great. Tobacco says he kicked his Facebook. Good, man. Well, that's the thing. Facebook is just so... People say YouTube's fake, but the truth is it really depends on what corner you're at. Just like, I guess, Facebook, too. The thing is, I don't mind getting a couple ads on Facebook or on YouTube. But getting the kind of ads on Facebook you do, I mean, a lot of them are divisive as hell. They're total misinformation. There's a lot of spam. I don't know. There's nothing I dislike more than not just bullshit media articles or fake news, but also people who really blow things out of proportion or make things seem, or scammers, the whole scamming world that's out there trying to convince you to look at their site so they can pull you in for one reason or another. That's why I love watching the shows where the people go out and they lure the scammers in and they scam the shit out of them, waste their time. It's all you can do. In fact, in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's when the term phishing really became popular, and it was kind of we started realizing that people were being phished through email, and so I joined a group. It was an email group, a website you went to. I think it was in like 2001. It was way back, dude. God damn, is it that long ago? Oh man, yeah, 2001 or 2002. I think, yeah, you join this group, and what you do is you'd put your email into their server. They'd take care of the rest. It was a whole list of emails. They would send it out to all the networks. Basically, give us this one. You set up an email that's designed for phishing the phishers. Then they would send it out and broadcast it, and then you would go to your email and keep these people busy and distracted. So it's kind of a waste of your time. You know you're not going to get anything out of it. You're just going to waste their time. But by wasting their time, you're keeping them from scamming someone else in the meantime. And like one of the guys I watched on YouTube does it because his grandma had got ripped off. She became, she had dementia and she started falling for these scammers. They'll start cussing at you with their accent, like, you've done a crime, you're going to jail, we're going to have the police come to your house, and old people freak out. And it's messed up, man. These are the worst kind of people out there. Scammers. I mean, just the dirtiest, lowest kind of low. I mean, they're scumbags. Scumbags. Hello, Mr. Kevin says, God loves scalpers. It's funny, Kevin, you say that about scalpers. I saw the ultimate meme the other day. It was like a month ago, and it said something about how, oh, it looks like there won't be any concerts in 2020. And he's like, I feel bad for all the scalpers. And then it was like, at the bottom, it was something like, no, I don't, fuck you guys, something like that. Like, we've all grown up with scalpers, scalping tickets, buying up massive tickets to events, being the people who are there quick with their technology to be able to jump on the tickets, have a bunch of people call in. It's all about money, you know, but not allowing people to get a fair shot at going to a show that of a band they really love. So any popular act that comes to town, like half the tickets are scalpers, and probably half those people work for other people within the system that allow them to get tickets first. It's total bullshit. Ticketmaster, fucking Live Nation, all these band hosting, they all suck. They really suck. But I can't get into that. The more BS, the better. If you like Hub City Stompers or the Skatalites, I've been switching genres so much song to song due to this lack of live music. Thanks for mentioning that. That was part of what I wanted to say. I've learned about so many new bands and going back and forth during the lockdown that I'm like, I've actually found new bands and I have a newfound appreciation for going to concerts. I mean, I'm gonna be stoked to go back out again, and I'm gonna dance like a motherfucker when I finally get out there. Yeah, I'm. Frank says right down the line is one of the songs that grew on me. Yep, it was a good one. No, I have not heard of Dream Theater. Facebook. It has its moments. Food stamp Sally. Was that you, Tobacco? I actually wondered if it was you or one of the other guys. Like, it's so funny when people use other screen names or whatnot, but I've had people accuse me of having all these what they call sock accounts, which really just means you have other accounts. I have like 5 YouTube channels. I only use this one, and then there's this one's like a subsidiary under my main channel, but I never use my main channel much. I was gonna do Nate stuff on it, but you get to the point where you just don't care. You're like, I'll upload it to whatever channel I can. Um, but this is the one I've been using for 10 years for the most part. But Facebook, I just can't do anymore. I can't. Good looking honky says, hi Carpo, Peter North here, old adult film star, great stream tonight. Well, thank you, my friend. Much obliged on that. Much obliged on that. Jake says, I know this is a vague question, but what are your thoughts on living in your hometown versus moving out of your hometown? For some reason, I feel there's an unwritten stigma about living in your hometown. Oh, that's a great question. Thanks. I love questions like that. The truth is, I live in Portland, well, the Portland area, in the greater Portland metro area, over the bridge in Vancouver, Washington. So I'm able to enjoy the Washington schools, the Washington laws, yet have Portland close by, and relatively, even though the laws and the regulations are, and the, whatever, whatnot's different, I love the Pacific Northwest out here. But it's not just because it's my hometown. And since it's my hometown, I'm naturally biased and inclined to want to support it. But not because of what it is, but because of my experience here. I have the desert, I got the coast, I've got the mountains, I have the rivers everywhere out here. It's just crazy. I mean, there's every type of weather system you could possibly want. And I haven't had any reason to leave. I've gone to, like, we visited Florida. We got married there, my wife and I. Been to Tennessee and a couple other places, but I really haven't been to, like, and of course I've been to California a bunch, but I haven't been to, like, Texas or even Colorado or out east on the East Coast. Truth is, I've seen enough to understand that it's all about your feeling of how you attach to where you come from, to the people around you, and whether you can relate socially and socioeconomically and sociopolitically with the people around you. And I'm just an old school fucking hippie, and I like Portland. I know people talk shit about it, fucking hipster town, and yeah, there's a bunch of dumbass hipsters and too many fucking bicycles in the way and shit like that, but it's a great town. It's a really great town. I love it. So that's my thought on why you want to stay in your hometown would probably just be because I mean, if you grew up in a hometown like some shitty part of Detroit where there's no work anymore and factories, why would you want to stay? Like, you have to ask yourself, what is the reason? Often it's not by choice, but because we have no other choice, which is why we have such a homeless problem right now, which is depressing as hell. And I hate talking about it. All the things that are wrong are the things that whenever I get ready to make a video talking about the shit that's wrong, I feel like, God, I'm just going to get attacked by people trying to say it's not wrong or trying to make it seem less than it is because we're in for some shit in the future. So that's kind of the point of why I'm sitting here. Saturday night, I might be thinking, oh, I can't go to a concert, I can't go dancing, but I'm alive. I have a roof over my head. I mean, I know that that seems kind of shallow at times in the sense that, yeah, we deserve more, we can do better. Yes, we can. We can always do better. It's not that I believe in a utopia in the world. We make our own utopia. We really do. The thing I've realized is that people, the more cheesy people claim things are, often that means the more true they are. And I'm going to repeat that. When people say things are cheesy or corny um, or just kind of cringy, often these are the true things. Things like saying, hey man, I love you, bro, give me a hug. I don't care that we have a difference of opinion. I don't care that you're politically different because honestly, we could change on a whim, right? I've changed over the years. Everybody I know has. So why wouldn't we? You know, if you know somebody and you can get along, why would you let politicians have anything to do with that, right? Um, I'm just saying we can look past the differences to a certain extent with people, and I just get overwhelmed and frustrated with the fact that there's so many people out there who base all of what they think is true on what they hear from others. And they're often the same people saying, well, you just watch the media or people watch the mainstream media, but I know the truth, you know? And I'm like, no, man, you don't know the truth. You know your truth, and that's okay. Let's know our truth. Let's try to get along and agree on what we think our truth is. And that's going to be different for each person. It really is. Frank says, is that a real poncho, a Mexican poncho, or a Sears poncho? Are you asking about this thing? Or is that a quote or a joke? This is actually a real fringe, leather fringe jacket, a shot. I love this thing. I got it. It was, I mentioned it earlier. It was the only thing I wanted for my 18th birthday. So I was, thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mama Orr. Uh, so it'll be 27 years ago that I got this jacket, and it's been sitting in my closet most of the time. I got it repaired professionally once, and then repaired it professionally with duct tape myself a second time when the pocket ripped. But other than that, it's got a great liner, if that's what you're talking about. But it's got the full fringe, man. It's high tech, super high tech, bro. Tobacco says, if I lived in Portland, I'd be scared Bigfoot would come out of the woods. My brother and I were just talking about Sasquatch last night, and I asked him, what do you think? And he's like, you know, living out here, we've all heard the stories, and I live right near Mount St. Helens, which is like a prime zone for it, and he lives on the other side. So my brother and I basically are always in this area. Never seen one. The trail cams don't pick them up. No footprints. I pretty much think that the majority of it is a hoax, if not all of it, or mistaken identity. However, there's a potential that there might be something bigger out there we don't understand. There was a thought that the giant ground sloth may be responsible because supposedly they used to throw branches or trees. They were very large. Ground sloths lived out here up until maybe a lot more recently than the last ice age. But those stories die hard, and it's hard not to want to believe in a large ape. Maybe it came over on the land bridge. There were only a few, and they were only around for a couple thousand years, and maybe that tradition carried on, or maybe people were just eating too many hallucinogens. I really don't know if Sasquatch is a real thing. I'm just going to tell you this, though. As a Pacific Northwesterner, I would have no problem going out in the middle of the night to any wooded area and just stand there, like anywhere here in Oregon or Washington. You go a little further north, you might have issues. I mean, when I was in Montana one time, my friend and I pulled to a random spot to go sleep when we were going camping. And we pull up, and it was a campground, but it was a very small campground in the middle of like nowhere. We did not expect to find a campground there. and there was a few spots, but not a soul there, and it hadn't been used in quite a while, and it was just a light snow. It was in the fall, so we pulled in. We parked the car. We got out. We started a little fire, just pitch black and quiet. All of a sudden, we start hearing these wolves howling, and then we hear these scuffle and commotion, like it couldn't have been more than 100 yards from us, and it was like, and then we hear this creature, like must have been a buck or a deer, just screaming and bloody murder, like ah, something being attacked, like within 300 feet of us, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? What do we do? And I think we did have his dog Sid with us at that time, but it was like, what do we do? We're sitting by a campfire. We went and we got in the path. I was driving a Pathfinder at the time, a Nissan, my mom's, and we were out looking for land and scouting the state. Back in my apocalypse days, trying to escape the disasters, right? We we came, we were sitting in the car, and we looked at each other, and I was like, "What the fuck are we doing?" He's like, "I don't know. This is stupid." So we got back out and got by the fire. I was like, "We have a fucking 30-30 and a 357, I think, with us. It's not like we're gonna get attacked without defending ourselves, and they've already eaten their dinner." But point being that I would not have any fear like that. That was the only time I've really been fearful in nature. I've even came across a bear last summer, and I was all excited. I didn't want to scare it off, but I understand there is a danger out there. It's funny how many people are scared of the woods in today's world. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Not that you are. I'm just saying, it's a strange thing out there. Yeah, you're out in or wait, no, you're out in Kansas, right? Yeah, Kansas. I wouldn't be. I guess I would be scared of the woods if I lived out there. I'd be scared of apes and Bigfoots and woods and big scary trees if I lived in the middle of Kansas where there's nothing but cornfields. No offense, I just every picture I've seen, it just seems flat and it seems so depressing. But then I've seen other videos of people like the one you posted of your neighbors trick or treating. I watched that one and it looked awesome. I was like, here they are out in Kansas trick or treating, and god damn it, I didn't even trick or treat with my kids this year because I just didn't want to deal with it, not knowing which houses were COVID free, or I should say worry free about COVID, which ones were, is it really worth it? We dressed up, did our Halloween shit. But this is one year where we're going to be sacrificing some shit during the holidays. Because if you gather in groups of more than 6, you're going to get arrested and thrown in the Gestapo's going to pick you up and throw you in the slammer for the rest of your life. You get life imprisonment for social gatherings. Oh man. For all the people at the beginning who said that, we've argued about masks and mandates and whatnot. Hey, at a certain point, dude, I totally see your point. I mean, you can do what you can do for a while, but you can't stop people from visiting with one another in the holidays. It's just preposterous. I don't even know what to think about that whole thing. I know people think it's a control grab, but the truth is, it's just a stupid move. Every country's doing it. Some of them are using it for control factors, but for the most part, we're kind of fucked with COVID this winter. Once it's all over, we can get back to Saturday night concerts and rocking out again. I mean, that's selfish as hell, but you know what? I am my only self. The only other person, the adult that really matters relative to me is my wife. And my wife is suffering from not going to concerts too. Both of us want to go. So it's like, that's why music is a big deal. Because in our family, music is everything. My oldest son is a guitarist. He plays in a band. My two younger kids listen to music on their own styles. Everybody's got their thing, but music is important to us. Music drives the soul, man. I mean, it's a crucial aspect of my life. Seeing live music is different. I've talked to people who say they've never been to a concert. My heart breaks when I hear that. I even see bands that I don't even know or like that much. Just because. I mean, I don't go to every concert, obviously, because I live in Portland. There's tons of them, but... So where were we at? I better back up. Tobacco, you've learned to love the cornfields. Fuck yeah, my friend. I would learn to love it too, if I had to. But I don't like cornfields. I like trees. I like going out in big tall trees, like where it's like pitch black, and you're out there in the underbrush, and there's all these creepy little sounds or complete silence. Yeah, come on out, Tobacco Row. I'll show you some scary stuff, dude. And we'll see how tough you are. Paul says, "What do you think about UFOs? Joe Rogan has me interested." Well, all I can say is if Joe Rogan has you interested about UFOs, it might be a relatively new topic for you. I don't know if that's the case, but I've studied UFO lore since I was about 17, 18. I've been really into it. So 25 years I've just been fascinated, but the last 5 years it all dropped off when I realized that 80 to 90% of the footage that I thought was real at one time was probably bullshit. And a majority of the reports to go along with it. Either the aliens and the UFOs disappeared quickly over the last 20 years, or that now that cameras are in everybody's pocket, all of a sudden they can't capture this footage, and when they do get footage, it's always like blurry and complicated. I know the military came out with the Tic Tac footage. I'm very aware of that, as well as the gimbal footage. You either know what I'm talking about or you don't, but both of those are very promising, and they have some interesting. I just don't know what that means. I really have no idea. I don't know if it's foreign or domestic. I don't know. When you're seeing UFOs 100 years ago, that's a different story. But today, I don't hold technology past any human being. I don't know that it would be exotic technology. So we're kind of at an impasse now when it comes to UFO lore and research. And it's hard to know what's true and what's not. So I hope that answers your question. Steel City Show. What's up, brother? Sounds corny. I love it. Tobacco, you love that ice rink, man. You see, that's the thing. Maybe that's all you got is the ice rink out there. Or is it like, yeah, I don't even know if we have one. I think we do, where the Winterhawks play in Portland, because I used to have a hockey puck when I got it from one of the Winterhawks things. I'd like to think that I caught it in my teeth, but the truth is I probably bought it at one of the stands. Music is the soundtrack to my life. Hell yeah. Oh, and don't forget to hit the like button, people. Everybody always forgets that, dude. And if you really think this is cool, then hit the like button. It'll motivate me to do it again, and it'll also get the algorithm to where YouTube actually gives a shit to promote my stuff. Tobacco Rose says, I like to have lake, bath, and shower rooms close to my campsite. Yeah, we don't get showers, bro. When we're camping, I don't know. It's one of those things. Once in a while, I get to a campground. Um, we have a school bus, so we've got our bed. We've got the kids' pull-out bed that actually it's a two couches that and the table that pulls out between them so you can eat dinner and stuff. And then that table drops down in the opening and becomes a flat part where the couch seats are, and then you pull the cushions out and it becomes a second bed for the kids. And that under our bed, which is in the back of the bus, we've got storage, and in the front we've got our sink and all our normal stuff. Everything you could possibly need. Our stove. We set everything up. Our little campsite. The only thing we don't have is a bathroom, but I have a shovel and a toilet tent and toilet paper, which reminds me of Charmin lilies and people who don't clean up their shit in the woods, which pisses me off. No pun intended. Looking at people's shit paper pisses me off. But I live in a place where it's beautiful. I mean, the woods are gorgeous out here, so you don't want to look and see little white toilet papers hanging out all the place. I don't have to have an actual shower, though. I don't know if that's even possible. Uh, I don't think we've. I stayed at one place where we had showers. There was there was a campground we stayed at the beach, and we were all looking for mushrooms at near Fort Stevens State Park, right? So we all camped one night. We got some mushrooms, but we decided to eat a different kind. So I ate these other ones that were the ones I brought because I knew how strong they were. So I was tripping pretty hard all night. And then around 3 in the morning, of course, I've told this story a long time ago. I was on an air mattress, but we ended up camping in this little gully, and we had tarps set up to protect it was at a campsite, but there were yurts right next to us that we couldn't go in because you couldn't rent them unless you showed up or planned it like 48 hours ahead of time. So here we are in these crappy tents, tripping balls on mushrooms. It starts pouring rain. We had all our tarps set up, but it wasn't enough because all the water ran in, filled my tent up, and I looked down, and I was starting, like, my mattress was starting to lightly float, and I thought I was tripping. I couldn't tell if I was tripping. So I'm like, I kind of reach down and touch it, put my hand there. I'm like, oh shit. And we'd been laughing from our individual tents, making jokes because it was raining so hard. We just had to leave our campsite. Our campfire just got doused. It rained for 3 days straight. All the mushroom picking we did all weekend long. We just got consistently rained on. But there was a shower there where you could go in, and it was free. It was part of the campground things. There was nobody else at the campground anywhere. It was like late fall and cold. I must have gone in that shower for like 2 hours straight. I kept hitting the thing. I stayed in there for like, and then I came back to my campsite, got my sleeping bag. Then I went back and I got in the shower again. It's one of those memories that are just like embossed in my brain. Having a shower at a campsite, it was a nice novelty. It really was. You only been to a couple concerts, huh? Yeah, there's a lot of different types of concerts, obviously, and a lot of different bands and the way that they handle things. I mean, like my wife and I, one of the earliest concerts we liked to go to was Modest Mouse when we first met. And Modest was, they're an awesome band, a very small band, like 3 or 4 guys back then. I think it was like, what, Jeremiah Green and, you know, I can't remember I think that was the drummer. Anyway, I can't remember all their names. But Modest Mouse, Isaac Brock is the singer and songwriter, and he's really good, and he's an amazing artist. We've been to at least maybe a dozen of their shows, right, through the years, from, say, 99, 2000, all the way up to a few years back. We've seen them at the Hard Rock, I think, in Florida while we were there, and all the way to the Crystal Ballroom up here now with like 8-piece band, and they're really good, very talented band. Um, but then there's other bands which are more like going. I see Dead and Company at the Gorge Amphitheater. It's huge. It's beautiful. Then I'll go see Fish there. Totally beautiful, and the same situation except glow sticks also. And there's a big debate about how glow sticks are toxic and they're bad for the environment. And every Fish show, people bring tens of thousands of them into the show and then just throw them everywhere at certain times of each song. If you've never seen a Fish show live, I mean, you should look at the New Year's show from this last night, 2019. Look at the Fish New Year's show, and it's crazy. Actually, the singer Trey got stuck up on a platform because they were raising up and down and doing this crazy thing. They put a lot of effort into their music and their show. It's not just some dudes rocking out with like this visual thing. It's like they can literally bounce on trampolines and fucking make music that is highly talented music. To me, that's something that I just highly respect, and it gives me a feeling like nothing else does. So you go to one of these concerts, the show might start at 8, 8:39, then go on till midnight or something. Then everybody as a crowd walks back from the concert, and when you're at the gorge, getting back to the campground is seriously like a trek. It's like a 2-mile walk. You've got to go through these tunnels and down all these this path that goes through this little tunnel. And when you go in the tunnel, it's all bright, so everybody just kind of makes these jokes about the brightness and how they look so high, and it's a blast. Then you'll run into the Nitrous Mafia, which are selling nitrous at hotcake speed along the trail, which these guys go from show to show. They're basically literally like a group of mafia fucking dudes, with their own little nitrous oxide mafia. They show up at a place, they have bodyguards, they run up with the tank, they start selling balloons, then they run somewhere else. Cops won't even fuck with them. The security won't fuck with them. These guys will shoot your ass if you try to stop them. If you go up and try to take their tank, you'll probably get shot or stabbed. They're really not people you want around. They're like one of the worst elements. But if you're just there to, if you're just there to buy nitrous from them all night, that's one thing. We harassed them from the school bus one night because they were selling nitrous right behind my bus. We're like, get that fucking thing out of here. And we were having pretty much fun with these guys. This one young guy who kept bringing balloons by. My son even told him off, get the fuck out of here with that thing. And the dude was like threatening us, and I'm like, no, dude, get the fuck out of here. So yeah, there's some violence and an element of harshness at some of these shows, but it's not very common. It's mostly just random drunk people walking into your campsite, and you make stories and you talk to them, and enjoy each other's company, which isn't for everyone anyway. Alice Cooper on LSD, huh? Lost Mouse is one of my favorites. I've yet to see them. They're really good live, but um, wow, they're really good. Um, I don't know. There's something about seeing a band live that you just can't get from seeing them, like, on a YouTube video or something. The sound, the impact, the connection with the audience, with the people. And that's what I want to get back to. Can't wait till this whole COVID thing blows through society and just either kills us off or doesn't, but so we can get back to it. I know everyone's fighting about what's real and what's not, but what's the point in that? It doesn't help us really understand, like, how to get back to normal by arguing about it, but I understand. It's kind of like people who want to scream and fight. Everyone's frustrated right now, okay? I mean, we're all stuck at home. Like, I've got to deal with my kids' homework all the time. A second grader and a sixth grader answering their teacher's shit and fucking reading and trying to understand report cards, figuring out what assignments they need to turn in. Then my wife lost her work again, and so now we're waiting for the restaurants to open. Everybody's going through a lot of shit right now. To have a family of 5 like we have here at a small house, under 1,000 feet, I think, not considering the garage, but thank God I have a little office here to go to, and I'm really grateful for it. But we get along really well for a small family or a large family in a small house, and I'm really grateful for what we do have. Plus a dog. We used to have a couple dogs and then a few cats as well, but over the years we've always had to keep a companion, and having a dog is an important part of that. Speaking of which, I'm going to go in there and watch a movie right now and pet the dog, hang out, just do that normal shit. I just watched this weird show. It's called Next, and it was on Hulu. It's like, there's only 4, it's on Fox or something, but there's like 4 episodes, I think, that are out. And it's about artificial intelligence becoming self-aware and basically being omnipresent. And it's creepy as hell. Like, it's your typical cheesy movie, ridiculous, the same story, the same old people, the same old actors. But then you say, well, isn't that how life is? I mean, the same old actors, the same old life. That's all of us. That's life in general. Um, you can't get away from that. Like, there are no new ideas under the sun. So, for me, I don't know, there was a period where I totally realized that watching movies is mindless and pointless. But when you start realizing that everything is mindless and pointless, then watching a movie late at night isn't such a bad thing. I used to think that research is all that mattered, or always being busy, getting something done. Always learning has been my thing. It's like my crutch to always be learning something. Like, I'm constantly reading something new. Instead of reading, tabloids and shit, I'm reading about science articles. Or I'm trying to understand how people think. It's like, I don't know why I'm fascinated with it. I just have been my whole life. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you all in this live cast. Because I feel like human interaction is something a lot of us are starved for. I'm grateful to have my family to interact with, but I know that being there live is something different. It's almost like we need more of that. I've started to understand the appreciation for being in the same state of mind at the same moment. I don't know if there's some delay on this end to what you hear or whatnot, but um, I guess that's being a human's weird. It's just a weird thing. That's all. Kevin says nitrous depletes vitamin B12. Yeah, it does. I've heard that too. But you just take a B12. I've done a lot of nitrous with psychedelics. It's been good time. Kevin says Blue Tech on LSD. Actually, the last time I tripped really hard, I listened to Blue Tech. That's a good call, my friend. Mycorrhizal Mambo. I think it was Mycorrhiza Mambo. Mycorrhiza is the fungal, branches that spread out the mushrooms of the fruiting bodies. So anyway, I think it was the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. He has a few really good tunes that are amazing to listen to when you're tripping. And let me tell you this, I'm a headphone guy when I can be, but if I'm with a group of people, using headphones is impractical if you're tripping together. In my living room, I have several different speakers and setups and arrays that I will set up. So I have two main speakers, which are like two 12s in each one that have, there's two 12s, two 4-inch, and then two ribbon tweeter or dome tweeters, but they're like soft domes. They're RTR speakers. They're like 4.5 feet tall. They're huge. They must weigh 150 pounds each. I got them from some deal from somebody on Craigslist when I was there to buy something else. I was like, oh, these are nice. It's like, you want to buy them? And yeah, I bought them. And they're loud. And I have a lot of loudspeakers. And for me, it's not just about the size of the speaker, but how well they're separated. Like this one behind me. Like it's just how well it's small. It's only like an 8-inch speaker, but the sound is just amazing and the bass is tight. So sorry to go off track on that, but yeah, I'm a big fanatic with music, and when it comes to Bluetech, he really does some great sound staging and separation, which is separating the music between channels. And when you take psychedelics, the serotonin rush that you get, which is actually a simulated, it's like they're kind of they mimic serotonin in a way. But whether you're on that or MDMA or just have a very serotonin good feeling in general, music will sound different. You will pick up better sound separation and music will sound better when you're feeling good. This is a fact that's been proven over and over. My son and I were just talking about it, and as musicians, he's like, I knew there was something. He's like, one day I'll listen to my amp and it'll sound just great. The next day, it sounds like shit. No matter what I do, I can't fix it. And so we've been investigating this psychologically, why music sounds good sometimes, or all the time to some people and not to others, and realizing how important it is and what serotonin plays a huge role in this. And serotonin and dopamine seem to counter each other. So in other words, people who are overly motivated might not be able to sit back and appreciate music for what it is. But people who sit back and just listen to music all the time might not be motivated to work hard. This is not what I'm saying. I'm just giving you an extreme example of how dopamine and serotonin seem to push each other out from some of the research that I've seen. So it's kind of not a one or the other thing, which is makes sense because dopamine is motivation, gives you the motivation to go hunting, to get your deer, to get your food, to go search for vegetables, whatever it might be. Once you eat, serotonin is released. Therefore, dopamine levels go down, your motivation goes down. You don't need to be motivated anymore. Then you can finally feel good. And that's always made a lot of sense to me. That's a long way of saying, yeah, dude, I totally love Bluetech. Steel Shitty Show. Steel Shitty Show. Sorry, Steel City Show. I forget your actual first name. The point being that I thought about Shitty Walk from South Park when I saw that. It was pretty funny. I'm sure you've seen that one. Human interaction is one of the most powerful things in the universe, he says. I agree, my friend. I know you used to do YouTube videos, and I know you kind of dropped off. I don't know if you're still doing it or not, but a lot of the people since I started my channel have come and gone. And I'm going to say this is one of the few things in the digital realm that I've been able to stick to. I can't say that it's the only thing in life that I've done. I mean, I've busted my ass getting my contractor's license, working for myself as a carpenter, starting my herb business. But the most crucial things is having a family, being there as a present father and a husband, as much as I can as a human being. So it's hard. It's hard being a present human. It really is. So human interaction is one of the most powerful tools, but at the same time, it's a lot of work to maintain relationships, especially with distant friends that you don't see very often. So sometimes people who are lonelier almost have it easier, depending on the psyche of the person and how well they can handle it. If that makes sense. Frank says, I've heard F sharp is a difficult note to play. Nah. Well, give it a shot. Edgar Winter blasting through your headphones? Nice. Motivated. Kevin says, you saw him in Portland in 2014 while tripping. Okay, well, it's kind of funny. The first time I saw Blue Tech, I was rolling pretty hard on MDMA, I think. And I might have actually been tripping on mushrooms, but I rarely, rarely ever take acid when I'm out at events because it's a very long lasting and jagged or angular drug, which can cause me a little bit of anxiety at times. I don't want to deal with acid. It's too long lasting. I'm just like, by hour 6, I'm just like, okay, I'm ready for bed. I'm done. Good acid wears off quickly. Not quickly, but I should say you can go to bed at a reasonable speed. You can go to sleep when you want to. You can take acid. You shouldn't be able to sleep right away. 2 hours into it, you're tripping balls. But I'd say within the 8th hour, you should be able to lay down, smoke a bowl, and go to bed. Not everybody smokes weed. For me, having a benzodiazepine is like a godsend at the end of a trip. So if I take doses, I'll take acid around 8 or 9 p.m. I like to take a few hundred micrograms at least. I like to get to the point where I can't really stand up if I'm going to take acid. I'm going to be brutally honest. To where I am spinning so hard in this universe that not literally spinning, don't mistake it. If you've never taken it, it's not like you're drunk and you're like, oh, but it's more like, oh shit, everything's too weird for me to deal with it right now. I can't cope with reality because when I look around me, reality isn't really real. This is the time when, even when there's a concert going in the background, like last year at Fish, I just laid there and just kind of laid on the hillside, covering my head, and just like listened to the music. Felt it just pulled me in. It was an amazing acid experience, but only because I could walk back to my campsite tripping and I didn't have to drive anywhere. So that's why I never trip at any concerts really in Portland. But last New Year's, I did. I tripped. We took some acid, I think. And we all went to see this Grateful Dead cover band, and it was really, really awesome. It was a very small show, but at the same time, I found myself sitting at the very back with my head down in my own world, and that's where I like to be on psychedelics. We called an Uber that night. There was no way I was driving, and it was the weirdest time. The first and the only time I've ever taken an Uber, and it was back to my own house, tripping balls because I was too high to drive. The dude who was driving, there were like these little TVs in the back of the car that had like ads and stuff. Maybe it was a cab. Was it an Uber? I don't even remember. But yeah, these little TVs with like ads playing, and I was like trying not to laugh. It was like a 20-minute drive, and I just sat there awkwardly. I was like, God, I just want to get home so bad. Here, take my money and just let me out of the car, right? I don't like interacting with strangers when I'm tripping at all. But if there's strangers that I can relate to who are also in that state of mind, I can just go on and on and on. So, at some shows I'll just ramble and ramble and ramble. Mushrooms are great, yes, but they also have a kind of a long life. If I'm going to take any psychedelic, I like to be at home in a safe place. I really don't take them at concerts anymore. It makes me feel awkward. If I go to concerts, I like to take, I'll be honest, I take about a tablespoon of kratom and drink like 3 or 4 beers. I eat a good meal about 3 hours before, and then take my kratom right before, like right when I'm heading out the door to the show. If it's with 20 minutes away, I'll usually take my kratom with me. I'll take it at the car, and then I'll go in, have a couple beers, buy a couple beers at the venue, or take a few shots on the way in, and dance my ass off for a few hours, and then I'll leave the concert even early. Like the last time I went to see Excision, I think I left early. I actually got kicked out of an Excision show at the Crystal Ballroom for vaping. I got caught. And the lady told me, I told you before. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, look at me. I'm just some old hippie dude, man. I had never talked to you all night. And she insisted. She walked me out of there. And I was like, oh, whatever. I was ready to go anyway. It's kind of burnt out. I've had fun at concerts. Cheap Trick, Heart Journey. Says, I freaked out when the cops were directing traffic off the freeway, wasn't driving. Oh, dude, that's a great story. Fuck yeah, man. I actually, when we tripped really hard at a Fish show that was down in the Bend. Very small, like intimate show. We couldn't even get tickets, but we drove down there anyway and hung out. Took acid, had to leave, and there were cops, and we drove the wrong way and kind of had to flip a U-ey, and they were all directing traffic out, and I was just like, oh shit, I should not be driving. Then we went down the freeway the wrong way and had to turn around. I had no idea where it was, and I thought this was a really bad idea. It's one of the stupid times where I knew I did not want to do this, but I had to get back to the motel. Just got to get back to the motel. And really, when you're tripping, it's not like being drunk. It's not even that bad. You're usually pretty in control of your faculties, but that one time I made a mistake and I probably shouldn't have. But I did make it to my motel safely, so. Kevin says he took an Uber tripping too. Yeah, I'm oh God, I made this. I took an ounce of mushrooms and put them in honey about a month ago, and I've been turning this bottle every day. Um, I'm about ready for a pretty heavy trip, and I like to take about 5 grams at a time. I like to get to the point where I basically don't want to move. I don't want to get up. I've got to have my set list set ahead of time. Not on YouTube, thank you. There's nothing worse than being in the middle of a trip and having a fucking commercial come on. It's got to be the worst fucking, especially if it's in the middle of a song or something, which is why I pay for Spotify. So I can just set up a Spotify playlist or even download the songs and have them separate. But all that aside, when you're tripping, you pick up signals a lot better. So sounds are different. I prefer my vinyl. I break out my record player. I get all my Pink Floyd vinyl out. And, I don't like to listen to really the Grateful Dead when I'm tripping. Things like that. It's too happy, too dancey, I like to listen to dark, creepy fucking shit when I'm tripping. So, Atom Heart Mother by Pink Floyd, which I've scared people with. I should not have put that on at certain times. But it's a great album to listen to. Your mind will go to so many places. I mean, it's a very, very dark sounding album when you're tripping. But really that comes down to perspective. So, I don't know. I think the important thing is that you're smart. If you're going to take psychedelics, that you don't fuck around, that you don't try to overdo it. Like with anything, I took psychedelics, but I never was one of those people who just took them all the time. Even when I was young and partying with them, it was only on the weekends, only every weekend. But like these days, I mean, when I drink, I try not to drink very much. I really try to be respectful. I try to stay within a certain limit. I try not to smoke too much weed. I haven't really smoked any weed today, but I thought I brought my bong in. Oh, there it is. But I, should save that for after I'm done, because I'm going to finish this video up pretty soon. It's just good to kind of come out and communicate. Think of this as like a concert, or a kind of a group chat. I mean, Zoom and live chats have become the way to talk with people. It's really fucked up. COVID's really fucked this whole year up. Well, goddamn. I mean, is that the understatement of the year or what? Man, I've wanted to do like skits about this shit for so long, but I'm just not that funny I'd have to plan how to do this if I really wanted to do that kind of shit. So I've got to get up for just a minute. Oh, wait, I saw Percocet tobacco. I got the Percocets from a dentist. I got 5 Percocet live hangout on YouTube one night. What a blast. Taking Percocet will definitely make a live hangout more interesting. And what's unfortunate is that we can't really talk about that stuff. Because if you try to say, yes, taking opiates once in a while is great and it will help you to open up, it brings forth this whole opiate war and the opiate addictions and overdoses. And it's like, in other words, thanks for ruining the fun for us, pharmaceutical companies. And that's a half joke. I mean, addicts will always find a way. And a lot of you know I'm cracking a half joke. We lost our niece last year to an overdose, and she was like 23. And it was a rough time. It was still a rough time. It's been like a 1-year anniversary. But at the same time, I can't deny that taking a few Percocets once in a while isn't the same as doing heroin, and I realize that and respect that. I have not run across perks in a while. I was never an opiate addict, but I've been taking kratom for 10 years, which basically does the same thing in large doses, but it's never quite like Percocet or OCs or something, which can really have different effects on people and different dosages. It's dangerous shit. But everything we do as humans is dangerous. You've got to be able to be honest about what drugs we consume and why. So I'm going to talk. Looks like I'm at 1 hour. I just hit an hour. So I'm trying to keep these reasonable. I'm going to go in and I'm going to get a refill on my orange juice. Think of a question if you have one. I'll be on here for another 10 minutes or so, and I will answer any questions anybody may have. That sounds arrogant as fuck, but you know, if you got a question, think about it. I'll be back in 1 minute. All right, I'm back. Looks like I only lost a few of you. How y'all doing? I was in there and Lucius was playing. I was mentioning that earlier. Those two female vocalists who play together. And the name of the band is Lucius, Lucius, and you should definitely check them out. It's good to hear good music, and I found myself liking new music lately. Um, like I mentioned before, like Billie Eilish, I heard that song "I Love You" and it just made me bawl. And I started listening to other ones like Ocean Eyes, a song she wrote when she was like what, it was from 14 years old or something. It's just amazing. There's a lot of good music out there that moves people for different reasons and at different times in our lives and for different reasons. And as I said, that song was played during kind of a service for the loss of someone, so therefore it has a certain attachment, a certain understanding, a certain bond to the music. Oxytocin is the bonding chemical that bonds us to each other and to what we hear as well and what we see. This is how we can have a very special moment in church where, for example, we feel like we felt God because we're with this whole group of people and everybody's celebrating and hallelujah. That moment can be embedded within your psyche. It becomes what you're yearning for, you're craving that moment. It is the exact same thing as the feeling in a deep psychedelic trip with a bunch of friends. There's no difference. Or a deep meditation state. And I only say this to show that all of us as humans are yearning for the same thing. We're trying to find our truth. We're trying to find that happy moment among the chaos. When some people find it, others tell them, oh, that's the devil. Can you imagine how that feels when people are judged by having a different view of what's fun? It's just a fucked up world out there. Anyway, but it's beautiful too. It's beautiful too. Phenibut, and Kratom. See, I wouldn't touch that shit. Motel 6 will leave the light on for you. Paul says, what do you think about salvia? Ever try it and listen to music? You can't listen to, I can't listen to music on salvia. I'm too high on salvia when I take salvia. I tried it several years ago. I did tell this story previously. I'll briefly give you a synopsis. About 10, 12 years ago, a friend of mine, maybe longer, said, oh, there's this stuff called salvia here. I got some at 60 extract, 60 times. I tried some, it was too strong. He gave it to me. One day I finally got around to trying it. It was too intense. I still have it. Like 50, I think it was 15 years ago or something. I still have it. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to touch this shit again, but I would carry it with me to events, concerts and stuff. Took it to Soak one time, and people knew what it was. I told them, I was like, hey, I just carry this with me, but if you're looking to try something new, it's here. And I've seen some people just, it's so hilarious the look on their face when they try it. But I won't do it again. My friends and I tried it, and it was too intense. I don't feel, it's like smoking dimethyltryptamine in a different way, though. Different feeling, but the same effect. Dimethyltryptamine is DMT, which Joe Rogan's talked about a million times, so I'm sure you've heard about it. But DMT is very intense, and it's like being shot out of a cannon to the moon, as Terence McKenna says. Had a great time on it, but it's very short-lived and too intense to gain anything from. So I've tried salvia. I didn't feel like I could get any spiritual insight from it because I didn't have time to process my shit. Beer and bruises just seem to come together at the end of a long night. No, talk to my buddy Scoey. Oh my god, that guy falls over all the time. He goes with us to like all our concerts, and he drinks and he falls over. He's the guy who's always hurting himself. I don't know. Frank says Pink Floyd Ball Tripping is great. Yeah, man, I'm fucking all about that. It's my favorite. 3-day bruises. No, I don't get 3-day bruises. In fact, I don't bruise. I'll tell you a weird story about this. Now, I don't know how blood types work, and I don't know how different body chemistries work, why some people bruise easier than others, if it has to do with iron or certain deficiencies. I know that there are certain conditions and certain reasons. I'm a tough motherfucker. It's weird. I don't really get sick very often. If I am hurt, I can get over it pretty quick. I have a very high tolerance for pain, a very high threshold. But I also have a very high resistance to like Novocaine at the dentist. So sometimes I'll be in extreme pain. They'll deny, oh, you couldn't feel that. I'm like, just fucking finish it. I've felt almost every tooth I've had pulled in my life, I've felt the whole thing. Like, sure, that numbing helps a little bit, but the point being, you build up yourself to like a certain toughness. And so I'm not this like tree hugging passive hippie. I'm more like the chainsaw wielding fucking tree hugging hippie. Sorry, I got off track there, but the point was that I've got hurt so much in my life, but I never get bruises. And my buddy, all he has to do is like have a butterfly land on his arm and he's bruised for a week. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I don't know why. I don't know why. Frank says, how do I send you gifts? Is it in the description? No, I've never given out my address because I've always thought it was kind of weird, and I figured that would just be like, I've seen people descriptions like, how do I send you stuff? If you want to send me something, you can play this back, and I'll give you my address right now. 12306 Southeast 1st Street, and it's in Vancouver, Washington, 98684. And my name is Joshua Orr. So I'll repeat: 12306 Southeast First Street, Vancouver, Washington 98684. Uh, it, I've had some people send me things. Fucking, I have this book up here called Chaos that I've been reading for a couple of years, on and off, and it was sent to me by a subscriber, Blaze Harmon, along with some crystals and some just personal things, kind of, effects that were like obviously one of a kind kind of items. A necklace that had been made and a bracelet. I still have all these things, and it meant a lot to me. I'm really not good at saying thank you to people, even though people might send me something to say, "Oh, thank you." To me, it just feels awkward. But I'm going to tell you the weirdest story that ever happened to me on here, and this is what kind of set my faith in like chance. And it, I'd been talking about herbs, and I'd been researching a lot about herbs and sharing people with psychoactive plants. This book I have up here, I took off the cover, but I'll show you. I'd been wanting for a while. I hadn't mentioned it before, but one day I made a video, and afterwards I went out and I ordered this book. Somebody left a comment in the comment section that said, "I just ordered you this book and I'm having it sent to your house." And this isn't just your fucking average book. This is the, yeah, the full-blown encyclopedia of psychoactive plants. It's huge. It's $100. It's at least $100 book. I think it's like $120, and it's almost 1,000 pages. It's 950 pages. It's an amazing book. I had just ordered it, and I was getting ready to have it shipped, and she said she'd ordered one for me. This is the one weird time that something happened. It just blew my mind. Somebody sent me something that I had just ordered, or was ordering, and I think I even had to cancel like the order that I was making in order to accept the gift. Um, so sorry. Yeah, I wanted to. If the person's out there who send me that, please remind me of your name, because I'm really bad about that. Somebody named Teresa Cowan, I think it was. We used to trade seeds and whatnot in my early days in YouTube. She sent me some seeds and some stuff with this little stone. It was like a little rock about that big. It was a polished stone, kind of flat, skipping stone type. And it was engraved. It was one of those stones that had carved, like, you see the inspirational quotes, but this one just said, "Thank you." I've had that for almost 10 years, and I carry it with me. Every time I see it, I put it in my pocket and carry it around, waiting to find somebody to give it to that does something nice, or whether it's from me or for someone else. But so far, I haven't found anybody to give it to yet. But it's one of those things where when people give me gifts, it means so much to me, but I feel so awkward being able to like try to respond to that. Like, do you send a thank you card? It's a weird thing, but it just amazes me. Like, I wanted to do a seed exchange with people where we could share different stuff. I've even thought about doing like a mystery package exchange, kind of like a chain letter type thing. So I send you a package, with a bunch of shit in it. The problem is that the cost of shipping, because it's like $8 to send one little fucking package now. It makes business a pain in the ass. But anyway, it'd be kind of cool. I'm getting off track here. Now I'm reading about salvia. Trying to get his pack of cigarettes open and couldn't, eventually ripped it open with his mouth. Yeah, I couldn't even see a pack of cigarettes if I was high on salvia. No, it would be too much. No, way too much. Hello. Hey, Speciosa. How are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well. I thought I was dead and going to the wherever. Yeah, Ro, I know what you're talking about, man. Mr. Jefferson T. Rowe. Uh, Taking that shit is not for everyone. Let's just say I may talk about getting high, but I have a very high reverence for these substances, and I don't take them lightly. I have wanted to eat mushrooms for a long time. I have responsibilities as a parent and as an adult, and to myself, to not take psychedelics very often, but I have the opportunity if I really wanted to. It's almost like I kind of put it off because I don't want to feel like I'm abusing it, but also I need complete privacy and silence when I'm tripping. Not the 5 grams in the dark, but rather 7 grams in the light with music and dancing and partying around me. I like to just lay in my spot. There's nothing better to me than cozying up when I'm tripping and just watching people around me have fun. I mean, that's like just awesome to me. I mean, you start to appreciate the human condition and what it really means. Let's put it this way: when you see people at their happiest, it's hard to unsee that. And when you see what people really, when you see people dancing around at a festival or a Dead show or a Fish concert or something, any jam band, whatever it might be, or an EDM concert, what you're looking at is ancient tribes dancing around the fire. They didn't do that because they were primitive and stupid and they didn't have any knowledge of the world, or their gods were, they hadn't figured it out yet. The secularism and all that matters is nothing, right? No, they it wasn't just about gods, or I feel like people kind of undermine the importance of the dance around the fire, of letting loose, of wearing costumes and having fun. This is something that goes back through all cultures. It's a very enjoyable thing. I mean, Europe is well aware of this. A lot of European like customs with it, or down in New Orleans with like Mardi Gras. Masks are not something that are just about hiding, and a party is not just about getting high. They're about human connection. In spite of what it may seem wearing a mask, it's letting down your guard to speak with others. It goes back the culture of human connection. It's all we have. It is really all we have. We take it for granted after a while. We really do, and it's hard. Where are we at? Do I have any comments here? Ain't for me. Nope, ain't for me. DB says, just spilled my bong water myself and it hurts. Do not recommend. Oh, it says I just spilled boiling water on myself. I thought it said I spilled bong water. That shows where my mind's at, right? I have a very high threshold to boiling water. I can pour it like over a cup that I'm holding and get it all over my hands. Like my hands just don't get beat up by it. I don't know. I'm a tough guy, right? But I do not recommend pouring it on yourself either. No, it depends on where it pours. If it's on my tummy, that'd be a different story altogether. Yeah, I bet it hurts. Specios says, I'm good. Going to partake in the consumption of the green medicine. Just listen to this and fall asleep. Well, right on, my friend. Update. It just gets worse. Well, I hope you blister up, DB, you dumbass. What are you dumping shit? What does DB mean, anyway? Dumb boiling. Sorry, couldn't think of anything better. No, I know how it feels to hurt yourself. It makes you feel kind of dumb, but it makes you feel alive. You realize that you're human when you do that. I'm smoking my own art. I have some keef here that I actually was part of my cannabis grow from this year. I made myself, and sometimes I step back and think I haven't accomplished a lot, and I think, well, I can grow good weed. There's something going for me. It's always a party favor to have good weed. But instant noodles. Oh, DB says I got high and wanted instant noodles. DB, damn blister. Nice. Damn blisters. Toast. Well, those cup of noodles can be, cup of noodle can be quite brutal. Cup of noodle be quite brutal. Yeah, that's a different kind of boiling water. It's almost like the noodles make the water hotter. Wait. Oh God, I could do a rhyme. The water hotter, double boiling, the noodle boodle. It was in my head there. God damn it! If I was a freestyle rapper, I'd be able to nail that shit down, but I'm not. Damn. But for those of you who don't know this, I actually write raps And I have like several, 3 or 4 different ones I've been working on lately that I'm going to eventually record and post an album on SoundCloud, but not until it's done. Because what it's going to be is like my acoustic songs, then it'll be a few electronic songs, then it'll be some of my raps, and they'll be melded into a triage of music in one album. That's something that I've been wanting to do, I guess. Not that, but just making my own album for my whole life. I mean, every musician I know wants to record their own tunes and, you know, say, okay, it's out there in the world, and now people can either tell me I totally suck or not. I have uploaded a lot of songs to YouTube, but it hasn't been my priority. And this is what I'd like to, if anybody wonders, things about myself, I don't know who I am. I mean, sure, I'm a carpenter. I also sell herbs, and I'm an herbologist. I love learning about herbs, different things like that. I also work with stones. I'm starting to work with knives and metal. I love talking about things. I like making podcasts. I like growing weed. Like, there are so many different aspects of things that I could talk about. It makes it really hard to stick to one thing. Therefore, I feel like I'm all over the place. I envy specialists who can sit here on YouTube and just talk about one fucking thing for 10 years straight, because their channel builds a reputation with people who all relate to that one subject. But I'm such a weird dude. I'm just an awkward person. I don't have that same, one size fits all, or I don't know how to put it where it doesn't sound insulting, because it's not a bad thing. People who are specialized, somebody said specialization is for insects. It's an old quote that I've always stood by, because I like to know a little bit of everything. But I also envy specialists. Those same insects, they know their job and they do their work. And when it's over, and they go home and they don't have to worry about, should I be doing this instead or this instead? It's, if a person knows what they're doing and they do it really well, these are the people who get recognized for being top-notch artists or builders or software engineers, whatever it might be. And I feel like my life has been just kind of jumping around from thing to thing, and I'm never going to be successful at any one thing. And I'll always just be trying to feed myself check to check. Um, but if I don't have the passion for something, I can't do it. I hope people understand where I'm coming from on that. Like, I can't just jump into a job that I hate. It would be impossible. I couldn't just join an office and just, hey, I'm going to work an office job now and be a fucking clerk or a sales consultant or work at a 7-Eleven or something. And it's no insult to anybody who works at a 7-Eleven or is a clerk. It's just, I couldn't, no, I could do it. I wouldn't want to do it. And I'd ask myself, why? Then on the other hand, maybe if I tried it, I might enjoy it. I don't know. And maybe that's the problem that we have, is not knowing what is best for us or what would be the best thing. I used to think I wanted to work for myself for my whole life. In recent years, I've realized that, damn, I'm almost better off working for someone else if as long as I feel like they have a good grasp on what they're doing and they're, have good values and morals. I could, as long, I'll call a boss out and get fired if that's what it comes to, if I'm doing something that I don't feel is legit. But um, letting them deal with all the paperwork and all the bullshit and just having me do what I do has always worked for me. I don't know. I just feel like I'm never going to be able to go back to that now. I've worked for myself for too long. I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn as fuck. Carpo, you know who Harry Mack is? Sounds familiar, but I'm not that familiar, so. French toast, peanut butter, and jelly. Smoking mold, man. Yeah, it can only get better. The Carpo Gumbo mixtape? Dude, I can't believe you said gumbo, because, like, I've been listening to Prof Gumbo, this song, yeah, I don't know. That's just funny. Gumbo mixtape, I love it. I've never even eaten gumbo. I don't like that kind of shit, but I respect it. Never really wrote a song. Frank, I just made that BS. DB, I worked as a groundskeeper this summer and loved it. Gotta be in the sun, beautiful mountains. Worked alone most of the time, listening to music. Yeah, when I was a carpenter, I did the same thing. I loved to be able to put my headphones on, just listen to what I want. For about a year, I worked pretty much by myself doing construction, and like we are building this, remodeling this one house, and I just had my headphones on all day listening to. Um, it was mostly just philosophy, like Alan Watts and Manly Hall, and then like the Great Courses series, which was like just all these different philosophers, and and just sharing all their different views, and that's all I listened to on my headphones all day. And I gained so much knowledge, but I also lost my mind after a while. It's just like, all right, enough of this shit. Let's listen to some fucking Rage Against the Machine or crank on some fucking Primus or something. But anyhow, I guess I'm about out now. It's getting late. It's 11:30, which means that if I don't get in the house now, then I'll probably be late to sit on my ass and watch Family Guy or something. Um, so thanks for everybody who came along and visited me while I was talking about random shit. Hit the like button and all that shit. And for anybody who has questions in the future, maybe save them for a future video. And I'd love to really have some deep discussions about some important subjects. And I think that will really depend on what people consider to be an important subject. And that's where we're at right now. It's all subjective. I'm just another idiot talking on the internet. So, what the fuck do I know, right? Why tobacco? My tobacco. You guys are funny. Oh, hey, Logic. You're just showing up as I'm leaving, I see. I'm sorry. Papadosio. Frank, yeah, dude, Papadosio's awesome. I love Papadosio, so. Here, when y'all turn off this crazy video of this rambling stoner here, turn off your computer. Well, then turn it back on. Look up Papadosio and listen to a song called Monochrome. I'm just trying to think of one off the top of my head that's a really good, well sound. If you've got a good stereo, sit back and listen to Papadosio Monochrome. Just put your headphones on, just listen to it. Some of these songs are so well made, and there's so many bands who are totally underrated. I've even talked with Papadosio's manager because I got my camera confiscated at one of their shows for taking pictures, so I wanted to make sure I could get a pass, and that wouldn't happen the next time. That's the first story for another time. Anyway, thanks for coming along, and peace and love, and mushrooms and hearts and all that shit. Talk to you later. Peace.